I'm going to talk about something that I don't tell most people. I don't know why I'm saying, maybe this is like a video diary or some cheesy whatever, but my parents never loved me. And it feels weird to even say that now, but that does feel weird. But it is accurate. Maybe I've never really thought about it truly, you know, but I think my parents cared for me, because I'm their child. Um, but I don't think I've ever received real, genuine love from my parents. It was always an asterisk. It was always conditional, you know. Um, my father, he is crazy. He is what you would consider a psychopath. And my mother, I would consider a narcissist. Now, what does that make me? I don't know. The odds aren't good. But either way, I grew up in a household where there was no real structure, everything was very flimsy. My father made good money, but he was a bad person. He drank, sold drugs, kept guns, beat my mom, beat us. Um, so at about age 4, my mom packed me and my brother, and she moved to Wisconsin. Now, this is a single mother who really wasn't prepared for all this, who was traumatized by my father. And over the years, we could never just be stable because it was hard for her to was hard for her to hold down a job, and not only that, hold down a job and still take care of us and give us everything that we needed to prosper. So we would go without, you know, and I think that created a lot of, at least in my head, I felt like we were not good enough, or at least we were poor. Now I didn't look at it necessarily, but it was kind of like a mental thing, right? I still had a childhood, I still had friends, I still played, but I always knew in the back of my head that we don't have anything. Now, it was easier because I just drowned myself in playing RuneScape. It's a video game on a computer, that's all you need to know. Now, when I got older, I started realizing that, or at least it started to kind of solidify in my head that something was wrong about me. I wasn't good enough for love, and I guess in a weird way, if my mother or my father didn't love me, who could love me type stuff. This is all like in the brain. This isn't even something I haven't thought about. I thought about talking about this, but I didn't even think of it in this kind of context. But I think in my head it kind of implanted something where it was like, I'm not good enough. And I think that's what drives me today. I honestly think a lot of the times that's what makes me make these videos, play the piano. It's all this stuff that I find worthy. If I can sing and play the piano, everybody has to love me then, right? I have to be something. I have to be special then, right? It was kind of a weird, it wasn't even conscious though, right? At the time I was just singing to ease the pain, but now that I'm actually talking about it, I'm kind of getting ideas, and it's like, that was my way to prove to my family that I was worthy or that I was a somebody. And I found out they didn't care anyways, you know? No matter how much progression I did, it just wasn't good enough, especially for my mother. My father just really wasn't around, after that time period. And he has his own complexes. He minimizes what he's done. And so is my mom. My mom way more. Everything, any criticism is always my fault, and she parentified us as children, you know. Somehow I got into the role of caretaker, and it was my job to take care of her emotionally, you know, and maybe even physically. I don't know, like not like that, but I'm saying like using my energy, you know, to clean up and do stuff that she can't do. And the same with my brother, you know. We all been traumatized. But she carried that throughout my whole life. And I'm finally realizing how much damage it has done to me. And I also realized recently, as I progress in my piano playing and my YouTube, whatever, as I become better, she still negates that, you know? And as I become better, my father still negates that, you know? It's only what they want to see. And recently I figured out that my mom doesn't want me to be better than her, which is a weird concept because every child should have, if done right, they should be technically doing better than me, right? Like my child, I hope, actually I don't hope, I know. My child will have a better life than me. And that's okay. I'm actually glad. It makes my purpose feel real. But I never got that. I always got the, oh, well, you know, I guess it was okay. Or, you know, it was, my mom would create problems and then solve them through her methods, you know? And it just doesn't work. You can't belittle somebody and berate somebody and then make tacos that she wanted and then offer them to me and then expect me to be like an even trade. I don't think she gets that. She's very transactional. Maybe this is where part of my problems come in, right? Because I'm very transactional only because I don't really understand. I haven't had real healthy relationships to kind of go off of, to be honest with you. It doesn't help, you know, with my genetics and stuff, you know. Maybe I am some of what my dad is, some of what my mom is maybe. But I was never taught as a kid, you know, right and wrong really. In fact, it would be a complete opposite from what I saw. I would see these movies, you know, where the good guy at the end comes out and like everything makes sense. At least back then. I don't know about movies now. They seem kind of all over the place, more or less without the message, you know. But as a kid, I saw that message. I saw people go through stuff, good people. And I saw them come together and figure it out. And at the end of it, it was a better life. I never got that in real life. What I got was a lot of messed up scenarios and no real closure. Even to this day, I don't have closure with my mom. She is not able to show love in a true, genuine way, and neither is my father. I pray that I don't have the same fate, but it's hard for somebody to love somebody if they've never seen love in a consistent way, you know? I've seen love in the cheesy movies. I've seen love, maybe let's say from other family members, possibly, but I wasn't around them. You know, I didn't see it firsthand. So I just grew up kind of believing what they told me, which was I wasn't worthy, and the best thing I could do is follow their footsteps because of course they know better. And as a kid, man, I used to think like that kind of would make sense, right? Because when you're a little kid, you look towards your parents to know the answer. But something just didn't make sense. I knew when I was 5 years old, when my dad came home and put a gun on the table and was counting a bunch of money, I knew he was a bad person. He's the first person I knew was a bad person. Which I think really scarred me. And people could say, oh, hey man, you older now. I don't want to hear that bull crap, man. Because when you don't get closure for something, it lingers. And I'm not going to have anybody diminish anything I went through. Not saying that I haven't come a long way. My life is pretty good now. But I didn't have good people around me. But I had people who would gaslight me and say that, oh, you're looking into it too deeply, X, Y, and Z. Oh, your parents were good, man. Or they would tell me how good they are to me. But there was just this disconnect, like, I didn't believe you. I don't believe you. And then that basically turned into me calling them out at every chance I could. It was like something in me pathologically couldn't allow that. I couldn't allow you to put that in the ethos, man. Like in the sphere, man. Like, especially with my mom, because she was always around me. I would just get into this habit of just every time calling her out in her BS. And she would be like, oh, you never let up on me, right? And you see how it's flipped now. Now I'm the bad guy for calling her out. Not because she's lying. And my father, I think he knew deep down that we weren't that cool. So he didn't try too much, you know. He knew he was a POS. So it kind of just ended there. Even recently when I moved down here and I seen him again, after 10, 15 minutes, I knew he was still the same. And I don't know why I even thought maybe he would change, you know? But I was like, let me just see, you know, let me just see like kind of what his mind frame is. And it's still the same. And all he cared about was if I had some chick that was pregnant or that it was gonna give him grandbabies. Firstly, he has other kids that have grandchildren. Not that I don't want grandchildren or I don't want children of my own. I do. I definitely do. But I'm thinking in my head, like, what do you care? Oh, I see. You want me to have kids so you can, you know, talk to my kids, right? And tell them how amazing you are and how special you are. You can just skip over me, right? So it kind of goes, you know, so that like, they'll be like, oh, grandpa, you know, or granddad. And then like, he can feel redeemed, you know, because my kids won't know what he did. I think the same for my mom too. I also think they're afraid that, you know, maybe death might catch up to them a little bit sooner and they may not see the children that I have. But I think it's more the other one, you know. They kind of want to move away from me, and if it's my kids, you know, they won't know how shitty they are. It's a good ploy. It's pretty lazy. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if there is a change, you know, because I feel like if they genuinely apologize to me, I don't know how I could accept it. Even if it was genuine. Not one of those BS apologies, which they still wouldn't do. Not even close. I realize what I went through made me a better person, but I'll just never look at them the same again, you know? And even when I sometimes slip up and I tell them about some good stuff going in my life, they have to dismiss that because in their minds, there's no fucking way you're gonna be better than me. I don't know. But I know I won't be like them because there just is no other option. So, my kid, you're gonna be lucky because I can't be like them. Now, I have a lot of things I have to work on because I am still unhealthy. I still have trust issues. I still have a hard time letting people in. It would be nice to feel loved, you know? It would be, truly. I don't know though. And I think deep down, part of my psychology and some of my issues is maybe I'll never be able to love someone else, you know? And I think that also scares me. I think it's possible, but it's going to take so much effort that, you know, sometimes does feel impossible. I just wish, you know, my parents would just hear me out, you know? Just actually genuinely listen. And I'll admit, like I said, I do have issues with listening to other people. But I do give people a chance. So I guess that's progress. But I'm just finding out that my parents never truly loved me. You know, because to love me would be to accept me. And to maybe even accept yourself. And my parents could never accept me because they couldn't accept themselves, because they couldn't accept that maybe I'm different. Or maybe I'm just not them. My mother would always take credit for anything I did. You know, she takes credit for my hair. Seriously. She takes credit for my looks. She takes credit for me being a creative individual. She took credit for me basically buying crypto. You know you got that from me, right? But it's funny because I don't ever get her bad traits, right? All my bad traits are just on me. You didn't get that from me. Maybe this is why I'm empty, you know? Maybe this is why I pull back so much, because I still have some of that in my head. And when I moved down here, I did have to stay with her for a while. And it just taught me. She didn't change, he didn't change. They're still the same people. I tried so hard to believe that she was a good person. You know, at least my mom was a good person, you know. Turns out she was just as bad as him. Just in a different way. And that kind of really messed with me. I think my brother is more like my mom. I think for him, he took it in her playbook, you know, the gaslighting, the confusion, the deflection, I can't even blame him. You know, because we were just traumatized. And that's his way of coping it. And I have my ways too. But I realize I'll never get closure. I'll never hear, I'm sorry for what I did for you, did to you, I love you, I'm sorry. Not like that. And I'm okay with that, you know? And now that I've distanced myself, I got my own place now, things are going good. I don't need him. And my dad, he would kind of try to play that role, you know, when I first met him, when I came down here again, as father. But it doesn't work like that, man. You can't be gone, not involved, and a scumbag, and then years later we reconnect. I was honestly, there was a part of me that wanted to reconnect, but I realized we can reconnect, but we're never gonna connect, you know? I just, there's just nothing to see.